Cards and Comic Show. Welcome back to Cards and Comics. Today I have a very special mail day and a collection update because today I have completed my 1960s Hank Aaron set. So all the base cards, the regular cards of Hank Aaron I have, all the 60s cards are completed. So that's a special day for me because I've been collecting Hank Aaron for many years, for like probably decades, if you get down to it. So it's very special that with the acquisition of this card here, the 61 Hank Aaron, I have completed the 60s. Now, this card is very nice. It's a PSA 8. You can see great color, great gloss. The one thing about this card that is hard is that sometimes the color on the card is faded, and there's a lot of print dots in the green here, a lot of splotches. And you can see, if you get really close in there, you can see some print dots, but they're not large and detracting from the eye appeal. The card itself is very well centered, in my opinion. It's a little off left to right, but just a little. It still frames very nicely. This card to me is solid. I call it on the higher end of a PSA 8. Obviously, if it was perfectly centered, this card would have probably been a real good candidate for an 8.5. It's very sharp in the corners and just a very nice overall looking Hank Aaron card. This card outsells what you would think a card this high of a pop count would bring because it's such a nice looking card. It's one of the let's say odd ball cards from the 61 set, meaning that since it's 61 set such high in pop count, in general those cards are depressed in value because they're so easy to get compared to say 60 tops, 63 tops, 62 tops. The 61 Aaron does bring a good amount of money in comparative terms. So I think it's just because the visual eye appeal. The jersey is classic, just an awesome looking card. So I'm very happy to complete my 60s Hank Aaron set. So we'll go through the entire 60s right now for everyone to enjoy. So we'll start here with 61 because just got this card in. We'll start here with 1960. So this is my 60 Aaron. It's a PSA 8 and it's very nice color. Just really vibrant gloss on this card. Nice white borders. Just a beautiful 60 Aaron. This card, is a little bit undervalued in my opinion. Next up is a card I picked up earlier this year. This is the 62 Aaron. Now, I've had this card twice in an 8 and sold them both times because I wasn't happy with the condition. I'm actually much happier with this card in a 7.5 than I was with any of my 8s I had. So, being a grade snob sometimes prevents you from just collecting the cards you like. And this card, to me, I don't see any real significant flaws that make me think it's a 7.5. You might say this one little tick on this edge here, brought it down, but to me that's a very minor blemish on a card that presents so nicely. Such great color, and you can see the gloss on this card is just amazing. So I don't care. Back wise, it's not off center like like 90-10 or 85-15 or something like that. So this card is just a really nice 7.5, and it probably is very close to an 8. So to me, it's good enough, right? I don't need to have every card be an 8 or an 8.5, but at one point I did. So, but it's just what you make of it. You got to enjoy the cards, and I really enjoy that card. Next up is the 63 Aaron 8, and this card is a card that is tough. It's also a card that's hard to find centered. It's all over the place. And again, like the 61, you can find lots of print in this area right here. Also, you see print lines. I didn't mention it on the 61 Aaron. Sometimes you'll see splotches up here and a print line that runs up and down. So that 61 Aaron can have lots of condition issues. The 63 generally has print dots, or like overprinting, overspray, and just color splotches here. So it's a card that has lots of issues, and obviously with the colored borders, you can have lots of chipping and white corner tip. So 63 Aaron PSA 8 for my 63. Next up is a 64, and it's one of my nicest cards I own, in my opinion. To me, it's a banger. It's a card that just really pops when you see it. It's just vibrant color, like just neon green. Just it looks every bit as nice as, I don't know how come a 9 is a 9. This is an 8.5. On the back, you can see maybe a little bit of the tips here, that kept it from the 9. So, but just a brilliant card, beautiful color. You can see the back is vibrant as well. So this card was really kept out from any sort of handling, light, just a card that really looks like it was untouched. And it's in a, I think the grade really gives this card a lot of value, honestly, because, before grading, this card would have been mint all day long. I don't think anyone would have even argued it, even back in the 80s and 90s. Pre-grading. And just for a bonus, I do have the stand-up in a 7. I picked this up in a PWCC auction, and I thought it went for a good price. It was just a value grade. It's obviously an old graded Hank Aaron card. So to me, it's one of those cards I really like. It has obviously some chipping down the bottom. It will never 8. So this is definitely a 7. But it's a card I really like. I just like his odd pose there. It's like, I think it's after the swing. So, but he's like doing one of those fake swings, like what they do for baseball cards, where where you don't see like this part of the body, you just see that part of the body, and then when the legs show up, they're like, oh, it's not a real baseball swing, So it's just kind of one of those funny poses that they put on baseball cards back in the day. But it's a beautiful card. I always like that green and yellow background. And he's in that cool, classic uniform. Next up, a card that a lot of people view as their favorite card. The holder's a little, or the, let me take it out of the sleeve here. And just, these sleeves are so old. They've been around enough that they're a little damaged. I'm going to take it out just because I don't want people to think the card itself looks like this, because it's just got some wear on the sleeve. This is a beautiful card. Oh, it's on the actual holder. Hold on a second. Let me clean off that holder. That's a problem with, I've had some of these cards for so long that even, the holders themselves are starting to, get some schmutz on. There we go. That looks a lot better. There we go. It's my 65 Aaron. Didn't want anything on the holder. Like it was just like a smudge here or something on his face. There you go. 65 Hank Aaron. Now I have, and this is an 8.5, so you can see I was definitely trying to put this set together. His 60s run in an 8.5. I have an Willie Mays that's an 8.5 from 65. I think my 65 Willie Mays is probably is a contender for one of the nicest cards I own. The 64 Clemente 8.5 I own, I think, is the nicest. One of the nicest cards I do own. I would put that card against any other 8 or 8.5 just from that set. This card is very nice, and you can see on the back again that little white on that tip keeps it from probably a 9, but presentation wise, this card is sharp, great color, and it's just definitely a card I've always loved. And 65s are just one of those sets that people generally just love to collect. And again, I think the 65 Willie Mays I own is a little bit nicer, but this is definitely a very, very, very nice Hank Aaron. Next up, a card I've had for a while, because I've always loved this card. And again, I did the video on the rarity, the 60s versus the 50s. Sorry, and the 66 top set did pop up as being a anomaly. for some reason it's much harder to get in high grade, and this is the Aaron. I used to buy this card a lot when it was cheaper because I just loved the card. I just thought it was a rarity. So when it came up for sale, I'd always try to and have it, to have an extra copy or two to take shows, because it was one of those cards I could flip pretty easily at a show, or trade it for more value than I paid for it a lot of times. This copy is nice. This card comes very angled sometimes. So it's a card you can see. Nice back. So, and also great color. Now this card does have a little bit of, I call like a little bit of out of focus issue. Not on the face, but a little bit here. You can see it's almost kind of got like a double expose, or double, like almost like a fuzziness right down here. It's common for this set, but it's definitely something that on this card, it's not quite as sharp as some other Aarons I've had. So just one of those things you got to look for when you buy this set. There's a lot of condition issues with the set. Centering being the one that I've noticed the most often. Another card I picked up this year, and again, a card I've looked for a lot in the 8.5 grade back in the day and never could find one I liked or could have, or got a bid on. So I ended up purchasing this card. There, it used to have a price tag right there. I need to get a new holder for it. But here's a 67 Hank Aaron in an 8 holder. Let me move this over a little bit, so I can get the full card in view here. 67 in an 8. This was the thing I like about this card a lot is it's pretty well straight. This set has such a tendency to angle or to be diamond, to move left or right. And this card is pretty straight. I don't think any 67 is perfectly straight, honestly. If you just measure to the tiniest fraction, you'll probably find them off a little bit. And it's very noticeable because the borders are so thin on this card. Any slight tilt makes this card look a lot worse than it really is. Great color on this card, which is one of the reasons I bought it. Was it was nicely centered, no tilt, and great color. So definitely a card I'm very happy to add to the Aaron collection. That's my 67. Moving on to 68. And some of these cards I've had in my boxes for so long that I'm just kind of seeing them again for the first time in a long time. Here is the 68, and it is an 8.5. Again, great color. This card is very well centered. One of the things I like about that is, this card, 68 is not a tough set to find, but in 8.5 or 9, it is a lot tougher than an 8 or 7. So this makes this card a lot more special, getting up to that little bit higher of a grade. And again, purchased back before everything was going nuts, and so this card was a little bit more affordable than it would sell for now. I don't know what this card would sell for now. When I do this video, I'll probably put the current pricing, BCP pricing for these cards up there so you can see what they're worth now. But I don't know exactly what I purchased these cards for. And some of these cards I did actually grade back in the day. So some of them were cards I did end up submitting to PSA at some point. It's been such a long time for some of these cards, I don't remember the full story on all of them yet. But I can go back and look a little bit. But this card definitely, was a card. And the 68, again, is not tough, but I was glad to get this card in 8.5 for sure, to get it off the list. Next up is the the 69. A little disappointing not to have this in 8.5. And this is a card I may actually upgrade one of these days because it's so available. So this isn't an availability issue with the 69. Now the 8.5s don't come up very often, so you have to win them. You have to actually win the auctions or trade for them or buy them at a show. But this is a card that shouldn't be overly difficult to find at 8.5. But again, 69s have the tendency to tilt, to be off-centered. But other than that, and then you can see the back. Now this back is a very nice Aaron back. That pink is very, very deep, and you can see it is a nice 8. Good color, kind of pops off the card for you. And just for a bonus, I do have the O-Pee-Chee version, and so you can see some differences between Topps and O-Pee-Chee. I'll point them out just for the quickness here. one thing that you'll always notice between O-Pee-Chee and Topps is that the O-Pee-Chee card will have less color on the front. It'll look more washed out and faded. That's because of the cardboard they use, and you can see that really when you flip over the back. They use like almost like a white stock paper, very different, and so the backs look completely different in terms of color. You can see that paper color on this kind of non-printed part is even different, and that does change the front as well. So that's something to think about too. If someone's trying to convince you the card that they're selling you is O-Pee-Chee, there's a lot of telltale signs. The color on the front, the color on the back for sure, and they all say printed in Canada. So pretty easy to tell, but I've seen people make mistakes on them. So that's it, guys. That's my 60s Aaron run. Now, where am I at for the collection itself? I need a 72 Aaron to complete my 70s run. So that would be the next decade I complete. For the 50s, I need his rookie card, his 56, and 58. So I'm 3 cards away from the 50s being done. Rookie card, 56, and 58. So pretty excited about that. I had the 55 Bowman, so I do have a few of his 55 Topps. I have that. I have the 57 Topps. So I have some of his cooler 50s cards, but looking to get the 50s done as well. So the National, I'll be looking for the 72 and most likely the 56, just because I know that's more available. I should be able to find that one for sure. So there it is, guys. That's my 60s Aaron complete set now. Again, with the acquisition of the 61. And let me know what you think in the comments. And let me know what your favorite card is. And I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.